All right, good morning. A couple of announcements. First of all, the progress reports are going to be submitted on Friday, and I need you guys to look at Zangle and see if everything is okay, if anything's missing, because with a lot of people not doing what I want, that's how things get messed up. So just make sure that your grade looks right and let me know if anything is a problem there. Yesterday I spent another 12 plus hours looking at things, and I was pretty upset. So I'm just letting you know, guys, this is the last announcement I'm going to make about this. I'm not accepting any late work. So if you turn something in 15 seconds late, I'm going to give you a 0. So that, first of all, that goes for assignments. So I'm not accepting any late work. So unless you have something that is documented about, some type of excuse, I'm not accepting any late work unless it's an extenuating circumstance. And I am upset about the exams. So I want to talk about a couple things. Okay, first of all, I am trying to regulate the exam. So that means if you turn in your scratch paper late, I don't know if you're talking about the exam. I don't know if you're sitting next to each other taking the exam. I don't know if you're taking screenshots of the exam. I don't know anything. So I'm trying to put forth a regulated exam as much as possible. So you have to turn your scratch paper in on time. If you don't, I'm going to give you a 0 on the exam, and I hope I'm making myself clear because I'm over it. So your scratch paper, I'm giving you plenty of time. I'm giving you a 40-minute exam to do in 60 minutes and 15 minutes to turn your scratch paper. If you turn it in a second late, I'm giving you a 0. In addition to that, on this last exam, a lot of you didn't write the problems down. You didn't show any work. You didn't show any answers. That's unacceptable. You have to write something. Otherwise, I think you're working with each other. So I'm going to tell you again what I want. You have to write down the original problem. If you have to graph, I have to see the graph. You have to work vertically and circle your answer. And if you turn in another piece of scratch paper that only has 2 or 3 problems on it, I'm going to give you a 0 for that too, because I can't justify if you did it or not. So I'm going to say it one more time. When you turn in your scratch paper, you are expected, I'm giving you plenty of time to do this. You're expected to write down the problem. You're expected to show work vertically and write your answer. If there's no work to show, then you're going to write your answer and circle it, but you have to show me something on every problem. So some of the excuses I have are really just pathetic. I believe that if you have to go to a funeral, there are no funerals at 8 o'clock in the morning that I know of, by the way. I've gone to a lot of funerals in my life over the 58 years I've been alive, and I've never gone to a funeral at 8 o'clock. But anyhow, there could be. You know in advance about a funeral, so you're welcome to take the exam earlier, but you're not going to take it later. I've never had a doctor's appointment at 8. The doctors don't roll until after 9, but if you have a doctor's appointment at 8, okay. But you have to have a doctor's appointment that's been set up in advance. So like I said, you're welcome to take the exam earlier, but you're not going to take it later. So you can't contact me 5 minutes before the exam and say you have a doctor's appointment. Can you take it on Monday? You can't contact me 5 minutes before the exam and say you're going to a funeral and you can't do anything. So all of that is unacceptable. Because most of the things you're telling me are things that you know in advance, and you're welcome to take the exam early, but no one's going to take it later. So I hope I'm making myself clear, because I'm tired of the fun and games, tired of you guys wasting my time. I'm tired of, I'm not sure what you're doing. Are you using those programs that, you write the problem and it does the work for you? And then you're writing your answer? Is that what you're doing? Because I know I have blonde hair, but I'm not stupid. I mean, I know what's going on out there. There's some cool problems out there, programs now that you can, apps where you can put in a problem and it'll work the problem for you. That's pretty cool. But you just want to make sure that you're not wasting your life. Are you wasting your time? Are you going to be prepared to take classes in the future? Are you going to be prepared to go back to school and be able to work problems and show your work? Or are you playing fun and games? So that's what you need to just ask yourself. I don't need to ask you that. You need to ask yourself, are you wasting your own life? Are you wasting your own time? So no late work, no late scratch paper, and you have to make sure on your scratch paper, because I'm looking at it, you have to show the problem, to show your work and circle your answer. If you don't that, you're going to get a 0. So I'm just letting you know. I'm done now. So I'm over it. And it'll take 1 0 for you to straighten up. So hopefully you'll straighten up before that happens. But honestly, on that last exam, I just gave everybody credit because I didn't want to spend 5 hours of my life going through all the garbage you gave me. I'll say that again. I gave everybody credit for whatever garbage you gave me because I didn't want to spend 5 hours of my life, but now it's over because I'm going to give you a 0 if you don't do exactly what I want. So I was talking to my friend last night, Colleen. She used to be a teacher, but she's not a teacher anymore. It's too hard. She's now a doctor, pharmacist. She said, Roxanne, you're supposed to try to build their confidence. I said, I did. I went through 9 hours. I went through 9 chapters of a prerequisite section that I wasn't supposed to teach to build their confidence. She said, well, maybe you're giving them too many problems. I said, well, I'm teaching 13 objectives in one section. The least number of problems I can give them is 13. If I give them 2 problems from each section, that's 26 problems. How can I, Colleen, how can I give them any less than that? And them understand what's going on? She goes, you can't. So as she went through saying all these things, and I kept saying, I did that. We're doing that. She said, then you're going to have to give them a 0. And I'm like, I'm going to give them a 0 because you know what? I'm not going to lower my expectations because I believe you can do it. I'm not going to say, oh, they're just stupid. They can't do this. I shouldn't give them any homework. They can't do it. I shouldn't give them 20 problems in 4 days because they can't do it. Is that how you want me to be? You want me to lower my standard like that? I don't think so. So I'm not there yet. So get with it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of you playing games. You're going to get the grade you deserve from me. And if it's an F, it's going to be an F for you doing absolutely nothing. So get with it. I believe in you. I believe you're just not giving me your best effort. That's what I believe. I don't think it's me being a horrible, awful teacher. I did go through the prerequisites. I give you beautiful notes every day, but I can't tell if you're taking them. I can't even tell if you're sitting in class right now. So this is really, really hard for me. And I'm giving you my best effort. I can honestly stand here and say, I am trying my very, very best for you. Can you tell me the same? Are you trying your best for me? I don't think so. And I'm not talking to everybody. I'm not talking to those of you who are working your butt off. I'm not talking to those of you who are getting 100%. I'm not even talking to those of you who are getting A's and B's on the exams. I'm talking to those of you who are messing around. Stop it. All right. In section 1.4, that's going to be due tomorrow night. Does anybody want to ask me any questions about 1.4? Because, there should be a lot of questions, unless you're using the app that's doing all the work for you and you don't get it. I mean, there should be lots of questions. You guys don't ask me questions, that's crazy. You should be asking me lots of questions. So do you have any questions about 1.4?
Number 27.
What are they giving you in 27, class?
2 points.
2 points on a line. And the directions say, use this to write an equation in point slope form and slope intercept form. So both of those forms have slope, and we don't have the slope, so we need to find the slope. You guys are writing this down, right? Because if any of you think you're going to go, you have the slightest chance of going to college, you're going to use my notes. But if you don't take them, you're not going to be able to use them. So the slope formula, x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. So you just plug it in. So this would be 3 minus 0 divided by 0 minus a negative 3. So the slope turns out to be 3 over 3, which is 1. So if we write point slope form, you need a point and a slope. Well, you have 2 points, so pick one. And you have the slope now. So which point do you like? Doesn't matter. Do you like the first one or the second one? It doesn't matter.
The second.
Okay. So this would be y minus 3 is equal to 1 times x minus 0. So there you go. That's point slope form. So if you want slope intercept form, you're going to have to solve for y. Because slope intercept form looks like y equals mx plus b. So if you take y minus 3 equals 1 times x minus 0, if you distribute a 1, you just get x minus 0. So when you add 3, you get y is equal to x plus 3 in slope intercept form. So this is point slope form and slope intercept form. Now, unless I'm just being crazy, I believe that every one of you can do this because this is Algebra 1. So I believe, I don't even care if you have a 2% right now. I believe that every person can find the slope. You can put the slope and a point in to write point slope form, and you can add 3 to both sides to put it in slope intercept form. Mark, can you do this?
Yes.
Andres, can you do this? Andres, can you do this? He's not answering me. Isn't that interesting? So let's go to Angel. Can you do this? Angel,
Yeah.
can you do this?
Yeah.
Okay. Elizabeth, can you do this?
Yes, I can.
Naomi, can you do this? Naomi, are you there? Naomi, are you
Yes.
there? Okay, can you do this?
Yeah.
Okay, Jerry, can you do this?
Yeah.
Jaden?
Yeah.
Fernando?
No.
No? Okay, I'll come back to you. Esteban?
Yeah.
Nick, can you do this? Nick, are you there? Nick, are you there? Nick, are you there? Andres, are you there?
Yeah.
Nick, are you there? Paige, can you do this?
Yeah, I can.
Victor? Victor?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So I was upset this weekend. I'm thinking, are they even coming to my class? Or do they just have their computer on and they're off walking the dog? Or they're off playing Call of Duty or whatever game is in right now? Or are they just going back to bed, making their parents think that they're online? So at least I know that most of you, almost all of you, are listening to me, which I appreciate. So that gives me some hope that I'm not wasting my time with you. So thank you for at least being here. All right. Fernando, did you not get this? Babe?
I actually put them on mute. Can you please do it again? Please?
Yep.
So I can get it more.
Yep. Because there's quite a few people that can't do this, so I appreciate you asking. You have to make sure that you know these forms. And if I were to give you advice, I would write them down like you always see me writing them down so you can memorize them. It's a lot better than looking at your paper, look at your paper, look at your paper. So this is the slope formula. This right here is point slope form because there's a point and a slope. And this is slope-intercept form. So when you do this one, it's just the change in y, which would be 3 minus 0, and the change in x, which would be 0 minus a negative 3. And you have to make sure you do it in that order. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And what you get is 0 plus 3 or 1. So now with these equations, wherever we see an m, we're going to put a 1 because that's our slope. So with the first one, you can pick either point. It doesn't matter. We chose to pick this one. So this would be y minus 0, 3 equals 1 times x minus 0. And that's actually point slope form. So when you do slope-intercept form, what we're going to do is we're going to use point slope form and just solve for y. So the first thing we're going to do is distribute. So we get 1 times x is x and 1 times 0 is 0. So that's why you didn't see me put anything. So then when I add 3, I get y is equal to x plus 3, and that's slope-intercept form. Okay, Fernando, did that help at all?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
You got it. Okay, does anybody want to ask me about any of these steps? All right, does anybody want to be bold enough to tell me you're confused about something else? So you guys have a lot of pride. You got to let your pride down and ask me, does anybody want me to do another problem? Because remember, the reason why you're in school is to learn. You're not supposed to know everything. If you knew everything, you'd be the teacher. So remember that. You're in class to ask questions. Yes, Miss Birch, but I don't want everyone to think I'm stupid. Well, everybody else is confused too. So if you're confused, there's like 9 or 10 other people that are confused. I know you think I'm lying, but I don't lie. Okay, there's 2 things I hate. I hate liars and I hate thieves, and I would never lie to you. So like I said, if you knew everything, you'd be the teacher, and I wouldn't be standing up here. So I'm going to ask you again. Anybody want to ask me any questions about 1-4?
Number 35.
Okay, so this time they're giving you, what is this thing? What is that?
A point on the line.
Uh-huh. And they're giving you an x-intercept, but they're writing it in a very bad way. So they're writing it like this. That is horrible. But you should know what that means. The x-intercept is a point. So what point are they talking about? Are they talking about 0 down to? Or are they talking about left to 0? Which one is the x-intercept?
Left to 0.
So there you go. What are they giving you? They're giving you 2 points on the line. So they want the same thing. We have to find the slope. So let's do this again. So the slope would be y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. We'll just call this x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. So the slope is 0 minus 4 divided by -2 minus 2. So isn't that -4 over -4, and a negative divided by a negative is a +1? So now we put point slope form. And our slope is 1. And we're going to use any point we want. I'm just going to use 2, 4 because I like it. So y minus 4 is equal to 1 times x minus 2. And that's point slope form. So now to put it in slope-intercept form, you have to solve for y. So I'm going to distribute a 1. So that times that is x, 1 times that is that. And you're going to add 4. So y is equal to x plus 2. So 35, that's correct. Esteban, are you talking to me?
Oh, no.
Okay. Okay, questions about this?
So they're still giving you 2 points, but 1 point is just written differently.
Yeah, they were trying to trick you. And they wrote it really bad. They didn't even use a colon. They used an equal. That's really horrible. So you know that an intercept, you know that this is a point, right? So the x-intercept crosses through the x-axis. So when they say -2, you know this point is -2, 0. So this was really bad the way they wrote it, but they're trying to trick you. So look at 37. They're writing both bad. So they're giving you 2 points again. The x-intercept is left 1/2 0, and the y-intercept is 0 up 4, isn't it? Mark, are you okay?
Yeah, I got it.
The other thing you need to know about people asking questions, do you guys realize that the people who ask questions are the people that are getting the high grades? You would think the opposite, right? It's like so-and-so's always asking questions. Well, the people asking questions are the people that don't even really need help. Okay, today I'm going to teach part of a lesson in 1.5, and we're going to talk about more slope. I'm only teaching 2 objectives. And we're going to talk about parallel and perpendicular lines. This is lesson 1.5. And this lesson, I'm assigning like 1 through 19 odds. You only have like 9 or 10 problems to do. Parallel lines have the same slope. So let me show you what the problem looks like so you don't freak out. It's write an equation. Of the line that passes through a point. And in this case, my example is left 3 up 1 and is parallel to a line. So let me just explain what this means. First of all, parallel lines are lines that never intersect, and they have the same slope. Like an example would be railroad tracks. What they're saying here is they want you to write an equation, and usually that means slope-intercept form, but they're giving you a point and they're giving you a line. So this is the point, that's the line. And what they want you to do is they want you to write a new equation through the point that's parallel to the black line. So they want you to write an equation of the blue line. So it's like, okay, well, this is easy. Let's just use point slope form to get to slope-intercept form. And the reason why I'm using this is because we know the slope matches, since parallel lines have the same slope, his slope is 2. And we're just going to use the point. So it'd be y minus 1 equals 2 times x minus, should be x of 1, and negative 3. So we get y minus 1 is equal to 2 times x plus 3. And
Miss Bridge, can you move the camera a little bit down? We can't see the rest of the problem.
yeah. You have to read the directions. They're actually asking for both forms. So this is point slope form, and they want you now to write slope-intercept form. So all you do is you take y minus 1 and you distribute first. So this would be y minus 1 equals 2x plus 6. And then you just solve for y. So when you add 1, you get 2x plus 7. So parallel lines have the same slope. We know that this is in the form y equals mx plus b, so this is this guy's slope. And so all you do is take his slope and put the point into point slope. That's the first answer. And then to write it in slope-intercept form, you just distribute and solve for y. Andres, can you do this?
Yeah.
Mark, can you do it?
Yeah.
Angel,
Yeah.
Fernando, how about this problem? You think you can do it?
I got it, Ms. Birch.
Okay, I'm gonna do another one. So at
Okay,
least
thank
you
you.
have this one written down. Esteban,
Yeah.
Elizabeth,
Yeah, I got it, Miss Bridge.
Jaden,
Yeah.
Jerry,
Yeah.
Naomi, can you do this?
Yeah.
How about Victor,
Yeah.
Paige,
Yes.
Nick, 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 Nick. All right, let's do one out of the book. I'm gonna do 6. All right, so here it's saying it's passing through this point, and it's gonna be parallel, which means it has the same slope to this line, which is y equals negative 5x plus 4. So this is a point, this is an equation. So what they're saying is we're giving you a point and an equation. And what they want is they want you to write an equation through this point that's parallel to this black line. All right, well, can't we use his slope? Because parallel lines have the same slope. So we're going to start with, they ask for point slope form. So his slope is negative 5, so that's all we're just going to use them for a slope. We're going to put the point in. So this would be x minus a negative 2, and over here would be y minus a negative 7. And you don't want to leave it like this. You want to doctor it up. So this would be y plus 7 equals negative 5 times x plus 2. That's point slope form. And then for slope-intercept form, write this down. And we're going to distribute first. So this would be x minus 10 subtract 7. So y is equal to negative 5x minus 17. And that is, by the way. Okay, so if you practice this, I promise you'll be able to do it on an exam. Okay, let's look at perpendicular lines. Okay. Now, you know what perpendicular means. We're talking about two lines that are going to intersect to form a right angle, which is 90 degrees. And they don't have the same slope. The slopes are negative reciprocals. So let's just do a quick lesson on this. So I'm going to give you a slope, and you're going to give me the reciprocal, and then we're going to write the negative reciprocal. And that's the one we're going to use to write our new equation. So for example, if I gave you 3, that's really 3 over 1. So what would be the reciprocal? 1/3. And if I asked you to negate it, it would be negative 1/3. That's what we would use for our new equation when we do these. Let's say you have 2/5. Well, you don't ever change the sign. When you take the reciprocal, it's negative 5/2. And now the negative of a negative would be a positive 5/2. So let's say you had positive 1, or let's say positive 5/7 or 7/9. What would be the reciprocal of 7/9? It would be 9/7. And if you negate it, it would be negative 9/7. One more. Let's say you had negative 6. Well, isn't that really negative 6 over 1? So what would be the reciprocal? Negative 1/6. So if you negate a negative, it becomes a positive. So this is what you're going to have to do, is you're going to have to find the negative reciprocal. So my recommendation is flip it and then negate it. Flip it and then negate it. Questions? All right, let's do this problem then. Okay, so in this problem, they're doing the same type of thing. They're saying write an equation in both forms, point slope form and slope intercept form, through, so passing through a point, and in this case, it's right 3 down 5, and is perpendicular, which means we have to take the negative reciprocal of the equation they're giving us, and they're giving us x perpendicular to x plus 4y minus 8. So this is general form. And I'll talk about general form in a minute. So what they're doing is they're giving you a point. This is linear. They're giving you a line. And what they want you to do is they want you to come up with a blue line that's going to be perpendicular to the black line through that point. So we're going to do this. We need the slope, and it's not obvious. So we have to take this guy and find the slope. So in order to find the slope, we have to put it in slope-intercept form. So what you're going to do is subtract x from both sides and add 8 to both sides. So you get 4y is equal to negative x plus 8, and you're going to divide everything by 4. So you get negative 1/4 x plus 8 over 4 is 2. Now, does anybody have any questions about why I did that? Because the slope now is negative 1/4, but that doesn't, well, we need a new slope. So we need to take the reciprocal and negate it to get a new slope of 4. So now we know that our slope is 4 when we're talking about coming up with an equation of a perpendicular line through that point. So now just use the point. So this would be y minus a negative 5 is equal to x minus 3. And the point slope form would be, we just doctored up a little bit. That's it. So the hardest thing so far was just coming up with the slope. And now, in order to write it in slope-intercept form, we take the point slope form and distribute. So that would be 4x minus 12. And we subtract 5, which would be a negative 12 and a negative 5 is negative 17. Okay, now they actually didn't want this form. They wanted, can you see this? They wanted general form. So now they're throwing in another form. This is point slope form, slope intercept form, and the general form, you put everybody on one side or the other. So if you take this and you subtract y from both sides, that is general form. So it's easy. Just put everything on the right or the left. Just make sure this guy, which is positive. So like I said, either put them all on the right or all on the left. So set it equal to 0 is general form, and just make sure that this is positive. If it's negative, multiply everything by a negative 1. All right, so this is requiring some thinking. The first thing we had to do was we had to find this guy's slope and take the negative reciprocal. Then we wrote it. Remember, this is called point slope form. And then we turned around and wrote it in slope intercept form. And then we use that to write it in general form. All right, do you guys want to ask me a question while we have this up here? Do you want me to work another one like this?
Yeah, can you work one more?
Okay, so we're doing perpendicular right now. Okay, let's do number 8. And like I said, you don't have to write all this down, but you have to write down the problem. So it's point is that, and it's passing it's perpendicular. So that means the slopes are negative reciprocals to y equals 1/3 x plus 7. Well, this problem's easier because we already know the slope. So, and we're just using him to get the slope. So, but since we're dealing with perpendicular, we need a new slope. And we have to take the reciprocal and negate it. So that's it. So we're going to want to write point slope form. So the slope is -3. And we're going to use this point. So it's going to be y minus 2 equals -3 times, should be a bracket. Keep doing that. X minus a -4. So I'm going to fix it a little bit. Y minus 2 is equal to -3 times x plus 4. That's point slope form. And they don't want slope-intercept form, but I'll just show you anyway. The slope is -3 again. And, okay, hold on a second. Write this down and solve for y. So distribute. Add 2 would be a -10. And now to put this in general form, I'm going to move everything to the right. So it's going to be 0 equals -3x minus y minus 10. And we don't like those negatives. So I'm going to multiply by a -1, multiply by a -1, multiply by a -1, multiply by -1. So it's 3x. I guess they didn't want general form in that. Okay, I did it, but they didn't. They wanted the slope-intercept form. So slope-intercept form was -3x minus 10. So they didn't want general form on that. So that's really it. You just have to be careful, but it's perpendicular. You have to take the black line. You have to find his slope and take the negative reciprocal in order to write your equation that's going to be perpendicular through that point. It's perpendicular to that black line. Okay, let's go on to something different. Okay, we're going to deal with slope in a different way. So they're going to ask you to find the average rate of change. Okay, you guys, that means slope. And what they're going to do is they're going to give you a function. And you guys know that's a quadratic, right? So this is getting into a little bit of calculus now. If you take 2 points here and you try to find the slope, it's going to be different than taking those 2 points and trying to find the slope, or even these 2 points and trying to find the slope. So every 2 points, the slope's going to be different. So let me show you this problem. They're going to say from x sub 1 equaling 0 to another x sub 2 being 1. So basically what they want to know is on this quadratic, what is the slope from 0 to 1? And so there's a new formula, but it means the same thing. This is the change in y over the change in x. And the way you read this is delta y over delta x. And the bottom looks like the slope formula. And the top, they're writing like this. F of x sub 2 minus f of x sub 1, which is just a fancy way of writing y sub 2 minus y sub 1. So let me show you what this means. So in order to find the slope, you're going to evaluate f of 1 minus f of 0 over 1 minus 0. So all I did was put in a 1 where I saw x sub 2, and I put a 0 where I saw x sub 1. So over here, remember when we evaluated? We're going to evaluate f of 1, which is 1 squared, which is 1. And we're going to evaluate f of 0, which is 0 squared, or 0. So in the numerator, you have f of 1, which is 1, minus 0 over 1 minus 0. That's coincidental, by the way, which is 1. So the slope is 1 from 0 to 1 in the parent of the parabola. So they're going to give you another one. So they're going to say this time, we're going to say x sub 1 is 1, and we're looking at x sub 2 being 2. So you're going to write down the formula, the change in y over the change in x, 2 minus f of x sub 1, which is the change in y, the change in x. So wherever you see an x sub 2, you're going to put f of 2, bottom would be 2, and f of 1, and x sub 1 is 1. So once again, we're dealing with the parabola. So we're going to evaluate f of 2, which would be 2 squared, which is 4. And we're going to evaluate f of 1, which is 1 squared equals 1. So f of 2 is 4, minus f of 1 is 1 over 1, which is 3 over 1. So isn't that interesting? Between 0 and 1 on the parabola, the slope is 1. But between 1 and 2, the slope is 3. Now in calculus, this is going to be easier because you're going to know something about the derivative. And so all of this is going to be made a lot easier in calculus. Let's do one more. Let's do C. So let's see what they want in C. X sub 1 is going to be something to X sub 2. So in C, they have -2 to 0. So they want to know what's the slope from -2 to 0 in the quadratic. So once again, delta y over delta x is equal to the change in y over the change in x. So we have f of 0 minus f of -2 over 0 minus a -2. So f of 0 would be 0 squared, which is 0, and f of -2 would be -2 quantity squared, which is 4. So you have 0 minus 4 over a +2. And that would be -2. So now the slope went negative. So between -2 and 0, the slope is -2. Okay, now, I just want, you don't have to know what I'm going to do right now. I just wanted to show you something. So do you remember the difference quotient? So we're still finding the average rate of change. Check this out. Now they're letting x sub 1 equal x, and x sub 2 is equal to x plus a little bit more. So watch this. F of x sub 2 is x plus h. Hold on. F of x. So this is the parabola again. And we want to evaluate f of x sub 2 which would be what? What did I do on the first problem? Oh yeah, it's not the parabola. It's not the parabola. It's just in general. All right. So f of x sub 2 would be f of x plus h minus f of x divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1 . Do you guys recognize that? It's the difference quotient. And so now you know what the difference quotient is. It's the slope. So the difference quotient, when you were doing the difference quotient, you were calculating a slope between 2 points. So you don't need to know how to do this. I just wanted to show you. And And then in pre-calculus later on, we'll take the limit, if we can get to it, the limit of this thing. And that's the beginning of some calculus stuff. Okay, I'm gonna save those word problems for later. Enough is enough today. The main thing is watch your notation, because if you don't use proper notation, you're gonna get confused about what's going on. So anybody want to ask me any questions about this stuff?
So you pretty much just plug in whatever x sub 2 and x sub 1 is.
Yeah, remember in the past when we evaluated functions? In the numerator, you're going to have to evaluate the functions over here. Remember, we evaluate. And then on the bottom is just straight 0 minus a -2. But on the top, you're evaluating f is 0 and f a -2. And I'm doing this on the side of the paper over here. And you're evaluating in whatever function they give you. Now, in this one, they're giving you the quadratic, but it could be any function.
Oh, okay. I see.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Class is over at 12:10. So you're gonna go into your teams and just start working this assignment. So we're doing the odds in 1.5, and you can pick one problem out of each section to just make sure that you can do it on your own, or you can just start on the assignment with problem number 1. Now, let's just look at number 1 real quick, because people were having trouble with this. So I'm gonna erase this. So on number 1, they're giving you a picture. Now in your assignment and on your exams, you have to write down the problem. Now, I don't care if you write the picture down, but you have to write down something. So they're giving you a function, a line, and they're giving you the point right 4, 2. And they're asking you to write an equation in point slope form and slope intercept form that's parallel. So that's good enough. So you know what to do, right? Write down point slope form. They want parallel, so you can use his slope, because isn't this 2x plus 0? So you would put his slope in and put the point in and go from there. So this is y is equal to 2x plus 0, right? Slope-intercept form, that's a line, right? So you can write it in point slope form. All right, I'll see you in your teams. I hope you guys are going to work together and get your issues resolved so you can do the assignment on your own. All right, I'll see you in the teams, and class is over at 12:10. Have a good day.